are on the road, on location today.
Yes.
And this has been so much fun because we got to be a part of the 2025 DePaul Athletics Hall of Fame induction and sit down one-on-one with all of our inductees, which was such a cool experience. You went to DePaul, so you know better than I do, but I learned so much just by talking to all of these former athletes about how DePaul changed them, about what it was like to be here when they were here, how it's changed since then, and where their careers went after DePaul, and how DePaul kind of shaped the rest of their lives.
Truly, and we were saying, like, when you read all of the awards and the accomplishments and everything they've done, they're rock stars. Like, every person we talked to is a rock star in their own category, and to be able to have them like sit in this chair across from us was like truly an honor. There was something that two of our guests said that mirrored each other, and I do want to give a preview to it because I think it's really important. And they had talked about, like, I think we asked a question about, like, what advice would you give to people who want to potentially have a career like you one day, or like really make an impact on DePaul. And it was not only just, like, I think taking care of yourself, which is pretty obvious, but like making sure the people around you matter too. And I don't think that's often like talked about as much, but like you really gotta be careful of like who's in your garden and like who's gonna be like nourishing you and taking care of you, because like that could be, what, lifts you up or what drags you down. And hearing like 2 out of our 5 guests say that, I thought was really unique.
Yeah, we had Wilson Chandler on, DePaul men's basketball alum, Lenae Fergerson, women's basketball alum. We had, two softball players, former softball players who know each other. One recruited the other, Saskia and Liza. Their careers.
51 home runs.
Ski, as they call her.
Yes.
51 or 52?
51 home
That's
runs.
iconic, and it hasn't been beaten yet, so she's amazing. And
she's wanting someone to beat it.
Yeah.
But no one has done it yet.
Yeah, she's ready for someone to beat her record. And just, again, like, the connection they all had was really cool. I mean, who am I missing? Matt, who was a thrower.
Yeah.
Who was great. He was our first guest of the day.
Yeah.
He was emotional in his Hall of Fame speech last night, and you can tell, I think what's really cool about this, how grateful all of them are.
Yeah.
And a lot of them said, we weren't even expecting this. This came out of nowhere, I wasn't expecting this. And so you can tell how grateful they are and how fun it was for them to share their stories, not only with everyone at the dinner last night, but here with us. But it's funny because they spoke in front of this large room of people last night, and none of them seemed that nervous, but they walked in here and they were like, like, like it's just a crew, we're chill, but they see the lights and kind of our setup, and they're like, this is intimidating. But I feel like once they sat down and got comfortable, we just heard a lot of fun stories. And great advice.
Yeah, great advice, amazing stories, a lot of kind of behind the scenes, and also just, I think, learning where everyone's at now. And this time, I think, for all of them has been a beautiful time of reflection. Like, it's really, you don't want to dwell on the past, but I think in moments like this, it is incredible to look back, to be like, yeah, I did all of that. And in the moment, like, you can't, I don't think you can ever really,
you're grinding in the moment.
You don't think about that because you're so focused on, like, I'm trying to win this, or I need to improve this, I need to get better at this. Like, you're just kind of working towards the next yes, or the next best thing that you're supposed to do. And it is all these like little pebbles that build up over time that give you a collegiate Hall of Fame career, which like people can't say. People can't say.
And DePaul has changed, and college athletics has changed with NIL and the transfer portal and all of the things. But I think what you'll learn in this episode is that some of the fundamentals that these athletes talked about in their careers are still like tried and true, important, didn't change.
Yeah.
Will still help any student athlete watching or listening be successful today.
And they all had another kind of similarity too, to that point of like, they all had people that cared, and they all talked about the care of DePaul here and the coaching staff that cared when, maybe they didn't have to because it wasn't the, sexy thing to do or what was supposed to be done, but like they did it because it was the right thing to do. And I just think that, me, I love DePaul, and I think it just goes to show what this place means to so many people, and because they're doing the right thing, it's shown in the people that we get to chat with.
We've heard that from our current coaches and our student athletes that we've had on throughout the season too. So DePaul has stayed the same in that way.
Yeah.
This is a great episode. Can't wait for you guys to listen. If you want a little extra motivation, listen to this episode. Welcome back into the Blue Demon Room podcast. I am one of the hosts, Casey Standahar. This is Jenna Duddleston, and we are joined by, last but certainly not least, our final 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, Lenae Fergerson. Congratulations, Lenae, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This has been such a fun weekend. The induction ceremony last night, the podcast today. You're in the Blue Demon Room, and you said that one of your favorite memories from your time at DePaul was when you spent time in the Blue Demon Room. Now, a lot of people didn't know that our podcast had more of a meaning, like it was an actual space.
I just learned this today.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
it was.
and
yeah.
you went to DePaul, but it was like a gathering space. Could you kind of explain what it was and what it meant to you?
Yeah. So in Alumni Hall, after games, we would go in the back, and it was just, everyone after the game, fans, coaches. It was just like a really nice, like, family environment. And it was just so historical, and it's like it was different that once alumni was taken down, the first thing was like, what was going to happen with the Blue Demon Room, So that was that's one of the things that you look forward to after a game, win or lose, to go down there and just kind of mingle with everybody, and again, just always having like that family environment.
I love that. What do you think made it so special? I mean, like, I love now that we're like bringing it back in like a unique way, but like,
Try to make it a family.
we're trying, we're trying to
Yeah.
get as many alumni and current students involved,
Yeah.
but like, was there, like, do you have a favorite memory during your time in the Blue Demon Room?
I don't know if I have a favorite memory, but it's just like we knew after a game, obviously it was much better going after a win, because now you're
Always.
coming down and it's like, yeah. After a loss, it's tough, but the fans were still there supporting, like, it's okay, we'll get them next time. So again, it's kind of like after processing a game, then to go down there and you're just seeing that support of everyone there, and just being able to mingle and talk, and I mean, again, that's just kind of brings it full circle after each game.
It was really cool to learn about your career at DePaul with the women's basketball team. You remain the Conference USA and DePaul career record holder for three-pointers made with 303. That's iconic. You also appeared in 116 games from 98 to 02, averaging 17.6 points per game. One of only 4 players in program history to surpass the 2K career points, and you finished with 2,046. Then you went to the Detroit Shock. You were selected 18th overall in 2002 in the WNBA, and then you went to play in France for 12 years. So just a wide spectrum of just a great career. Out of everything kind of I just mentioned, is there something that you're most proud of, or is it just the collection of all of them?
Well, it's kind of a collection of everything. Like, I never knew where the basketball was going to take me. Coming out of a small town, I got recruited by DePaul. I came to DePaul, and even my freshman year, I never would have thought that I would be in this position, after I graduated. My freshman year, I didn't even get on the main court. I had double knee surgery coming into DePaul.
Wow.
So I partially tore my ACL my junior year of high school, and I didn't want to miss my senior year, so I just put a brace on and played with it partially torn. So from me compensated, ended up doing damage in my other knee. So once I got to DePaul and I saw the team doctor, they were like, at this level, there's no way this knee will hold up, so you have to have it operated on, and I needed both operated on. So I'll never forget, I had the double knee surgery, and I woke up, and at whatever point, all I know is then, like, the whole DePaul team was around my bed. Like, the team had actually did their conditioning, and they ran down to the hospital, and then they came up and saw me. And so from there, it was just like, wow, like, I'm truly coming into like a family. A lot of those girls didn't even know me. I was, coming in as a freshman, and for them to come and support. And that's just a testament of how Doug, how he ran his program. And that was just a special moment for me that the whole team came down there. And so as I started to progress through my rehab, I never got on the floor that first year. I was on the sideline doing Doug Bruno drills. And my the following years when I was able to start playing and kind of just took off from there. And, that my career at DePaul is kind of what set up for the rest of, what was going to take place. My senior years when it started getting a little bit more serious, like, hey, you can maybe have the possibility to go play in the WNBA. And I'm like, oh, and that's where Doug really was like on me and coaching me and trying to prep me for that next level. And like I said, I got drafted, played in the WNBA for a year, bounced around a little bit, and then ended up playing actually 4 14 years in Europe.
Oh, it was 14.
So yeah, I
Wow.
played my longest in France. I was there
Wow.
for 7 years, but I started out in Italy.
Okay.
I had a brief stint in Israel, Greece, Slovakia, and then the 7 years
so cool.
in France. So traveled all around the world. Wouldn't change it for anything, you know, just to be able to see so many different parts of the world and play the sport that I love. I couldn't ask for a better career.
Just to backtrack a little bit. So when you woke up after surgery, were you a senior or were you a
No,
senior?
I was going into,
So it was like the summer going in.
yes.
Okay.
I was coming in as a redshirt freshman.
I can only imagine the emotions you had. One, like you wake up after surgery, there's already emotions like
Yeah.
flowing through your body.
Right.
Like I remember I tore my wrist, so I woke up and I cried and I was like, I want my mom an apple
Right.
juice. I was a mess. But like to then see that, oh my God, I would have been a puddle. I would have been
Yeah,
a
I
puddle.
woke up and I'm like, okay, after I kind of was like, and then they all came in, I was like, wow, like,
So nice.
this is really a big deal. And like,
Yeah.
I felt so like supported, and it was kind of like that motivation to like,
Get
I gotta
out there.
Get out there,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so that's, I'll forever remember that memory.
It's got to be a core memory.
Yes,
For
very.
you. And it's just also like, I mean, I love women so much. I love being a woman, and I just love when women support women. And it really is those little moments of showing up where like it might not seem like it matters, but like it's still something that like you just told us that story
I
and it
still
means so
remember.
much.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
It started
So-
everything for you too.
Yes.
That's so cool. What is it like now seeing Wintrust as the home for DePaul men's and women's basketball and all the changes to DePaul?
It's so different. You know, like even coming down, I was like, wow. So I kind of learned like, you know, day before a game or they usually come down here, they get a hotel room and they go over. It's definitely different. I'm not gonna say I don't know if I like that. I liked, you know, we were on campus, you know, so like game day or not, you go down to Alumni Hall, get your practice in, get your shoot on, and you go back to your dorm. So that's a huge difference. But, you know, whatever works. But I like our setup. Even when they took down Alumni Hall, which was really sad, but when they built the new one, the McGrath Center, it was the same. Being that the gym was on campus, it's kind of like we always were there. So I like that, just to be able to walk right back to Sheffield Square to my dorm.
I do like
Sleep
that.
in my own bed the night before a game, you know,
Yeah.
take my nap in my own dorm right before the game. So I'm glad it was that way instead of this way.
You said that at DePaul, like DePaul has helped you learn to persevere in the face of adversity and control your response in hardships. Is there a specific example you can give us with learning this lesson?
You know, every day these different opportunities presented themselves, and like I have so many practices. I remember the conditioning. There was like I'm running and I'm like I can't do this. Like in my mind was made up. I'm like I can't do this. I just can't make this time. I can't do it. You know, we had to run the mile, and the guards had to finish it in under 6:30, and we had to keep running until we made it. I kid you not, I was always like the last guard to get it completed. I just couldn't do it, and I ran that mile around Alumni. I think it was like 13 or 14 laps. Until I made it. And it's just in those instances, like when I thanked my coaches, like I'm like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. And they were just always there. You can, you know, pushing me through. Plenty of practices where, you know, I'm just like, this is just too much. Just not believing that I could really do it. And the coaches wouldn't let me give up. They wouldn't let me settle for that you can't do it like you can. So it was always that constant push, and you're gonna do it and you can do it, speaking that positivity into me. And not only me, just our whole team as a whole. When I look back now, it's just like they saw something in me that at that time maybe I didn't. And just holding me accountable and not letting me to give in was, you know, why I'm able to be where I am today.
Playing high school basketball, going back even further, where did you rank among your team?
Well, I was all state. I made all state. I was all conference. I was probably the best player on our team, but it was a weird dynamic because our team was not very talented. It's like I shot all the balls,
Right.
You know, just being honest.
Yeah.
So it's like it wasn't hard. It was expecting me to score 20 plus points every game. So that's why I said, you know, I could shoot. But I was very raw in all the other areas, you know, wasn't really held accountable much. And I think that's why, you know, coming to DePaul, I firmly believe that had I gone to any other university, I don't think I would have been developed into a whole player. It kind of been like, you know, she's just a shooter. You just come in to, you know, shoot when you're open. But when Doug developed like a whole complete player, like learning the importance of defense, rebounding, how to score in the fast break, how to score in the half court, how to leak out and get, easy baskets. So just being under him, I was able to develop into a complete player. And I think that's what led to me then have the potential in being able to be drafted into the WNBA and playing.
Yeah. Then, so when you're here at DePaul, you excelled kind of right off the bat, obviously after the knees. But you averaged 11 points per game your redshirt freshman year. Thinking back to that time, what did that success feel like to you? Because not many people really make an impact kind of right away.
Yeah. I mean, my freshman year, which I'm pretty sure I still didn't know what I was doing. I still didn't know I was capable of doing it. I was just playing. I was such a basketball junkie that I just loved to play. That was just I'm just happy to be out here. After that knee surgery, usually they say you gain the freshman, 15. 15. I was closer to 20, 25. I blew up. I got to DePaul, that cafeteria. We had that meal card. I wasn't really playing. I remember the news came in before practice, and they kind of were filming one day. And I remember my dad called me. He was like, you might need to lose a little bit of weight. I don't know what's going on down there. I'm like, yeah, I'm enjoying this cafeteria food, So that first year, I really had to work hard coming back, obviously, after the knee surgery. But I worked hard. I was at Bruno camp that summer doing the drills right with the campers. We would play. You call it our midnight league. We would come back after camp was over, and we'd play till 11, 12 o'clock at night, and with some of the men that were on the team. Yeah. So just getting it in, competing, and just loving to be in a gym, And I think all that work paid off then coming into my sophomore year, technically freshman, just continue to play. And again, I had supportive teammates and a coaching staff that believed in me, and it just kind of took off from there.
You've mentioned Doug's impact a lot already, and we know what a legend he is, but is there a favorite Doug story that you have personally?
Wow. One is, it was funny. I don't remember if it was my junior or senior year. We were having practice. And I think it was probably my senior year when I, probably started feeling a little Hollywood, ooh, I'm going to get drafted. So we're practicing, and I jammed my finger. Ooh. And so a jammed finger, okay, it's not the end of the world, but I was acting like it was the end of the world. I'm just probably being Hollywood again, oh, my finger, and I remember we're practicing, and Doug, he blows the whistle, and he goes, stop! And right when he said stop, the L was going by. He was like, stop the L tracks! Lenae jammed her finger. Everybody, let's stop. Wait, let's make sure she's okay. Because I was acting.
So he played it up.
Yeah, I was acting really Hollywood.
He humbled
and right there,
you.
I'm like, okay, Lenae, you're doing the most. Your finger's fine. Get back to playing hard. And I'll never forget it. He blew the whistle, which I cannot do. He blew that whistle. Stop. Stop the L tracks. Lenae jammed her finger. Wait a minute. Let's make sure she's okay.
I love him
and
for
it
that.
was just you're right. I'm acting. Okay, You're right. And then we just continued from there. But I will never forget. That was one of my memories. That it was just and then I have the ones where, bad practice, good practice. But Doug was on me, and we had our screen match, and he's right here, just going at me, give me a go, and I'm just standing there taking it, and then it's afterwards. Lenae, you good? You ready for it tomorrow? And I'm still probably in my feelings the way he got on me. But it was soon as that practice was over, Doug went right back to let you know it's not personal.
Yeah.
He's doing
That's
his
just
job.
coaching, yeah.
He's just coaching. He's just holding me accountable. And I think now when I'm coaching, it's oh, this is what Doug was doing. This is what, and so I tell my players all the time, a coach that holds you accountable and doesn't let you settle for mediocrity and holding the accountable piece is really big, because I think a lot of times now we get that confused with tough coaching or too hard. But I see myself now as I'm coaching, you have to hold them accountable. You have to make them aware, of what their potential is, and getting the best version of them is what our goal is. And I know that's what Doug was doing, and I see it now. Yeah. Took a lot of years, but I see it now,
And that's what made him such a good coach, I think, because he was able to be serious, but he also could joke with you. And
right afterwards, he's like, what are you mad for? Give me that little show. And I'm like, man, he's right. Just shake it off. In that coaching mode, in that 2 hours, he was my coach.
Right. Yeah.
And he's doing what he's supposed to. And then afterwards, you couldn't even tell. It could be the worst practice, and it wasn't like he held it against me. He's talking to me like it didn't even happen. So that's one thing I really admired about him.
I had a coach say, the minute I stop coaching you, that's when you need to be worried.
Yes.
And that's the truth. And it's and when someone is holding you accountable, it's because there's potential. And I see that potential, and you're not getting there. So like, respectfully, pull your finger out of your rear and stop the L tracks and everything's fine.
Because I'm sure he saw me like, I was playing, I'm like, and I'm acting like it's so hard, but then I can catch a ball and still shoot. You know, you can still do that, but now, so it was funny.
Oh my gosh. So the WNBA is supposed to be returning to Detroit in 2029.
Wow.
Is this news to you, or do we?
Yes, this is.
Okay, so this is like raw emotions. What does this make you feel? What's bringing up for you?
It's because obviously that's where I was drafted to. And I was there for that year, and then they moved. I think that's a team that went to San Antonio.
Oh.
Was it San Antonio?
I didn't know if it was Seattle. No.
I don't know.
No, I think they're the ones who left and went to Texas. So a team.
Okay.
Yeah. Or was it either Dallas? I can't remember exactly, but
Tulsa.
yes. But to come back, I mean, Motown, D-Town, Detroit, it was nice. You know, it was fun playing there, and I think that's a great city. I think they should have a team. You know, I'm glad that they're starting to expand because we have so many, you know, awesome basketball players and. You know, during my time, it was a small window of opportunity. You know, you only had 11-man. We had 12-man roster. 2 were considered IR. So like there wasn't a lot of opportunities. You know, and now with the more teams and to see that it's growing, I just think that gives more women more opportunities, and it's what they need. It's needed.
You came back to DePaul for this with 2 daughters, Leanna. Is it Leanna?
Liana,
excuse me, and Zoe. What are they like?
They were, you know, because they're young, they're 8 and 6. You know, they were so excited. They're like, "Mommy, you're up next. You're going to be on the screen." You know, so, you know, I'm glad that they were there to witness it. Maybe they don't fully understand, you know, what it all meant, but it's a story that they'll have. I'll be able to share with them when they get a little bit older. But just having my family there and my husband and my 2 girls and my parents, you know, it kind of just brought it all full circle. Like, you know, it finally paid off everything that I worked for. And just to be recognized again, and just brought back so many memories of, you know, what a great place this was for me and my family. And it's still a great place.
Are your daughters interested in sports?
Yeah. So my little one, Zoe, is like my athlete. Like she loves volleyball, basketball. Now she's into flag football. Like it's everything. Yeah. And my older one, she reminds me of me. I didn't play basketball until high school. Okay. So growing up, like my dad would take me down to the Bulls games, and I would be interested in the Lovables. I wanted to be a Lovable. Growing up, I was in ballet, jazz, tap. I didn't even think about basketball. I was more the dancer type, you know?
Too.
Yeah. So I would go to the games, and this is the Jordan era. I'm like, not even understanding I'm witnessing greatness here, but I'm looking at the Lovables during timeouts at the halftime show. But you know those memories, you know, are just special. You know what I mean? Like, and I now looking back, I'm like, wow, I still never would have thought that I would turn into, you know, a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
you know,
that's incredible.
You never know. I
think
that's the beauty of life. You just kind of
don't know. Yeah. You know, even when I was at DePaul, I wanted to be a sports newscaster. Like I was communication major, minor in marketing, and I kind of wanted to be a news anchor, and that was what I was going to get into when I graduated. But it was different. I was drafted. I went right into basketball. Then I went right into Europe. So it kind of got put on hold. But again, I wouldn't change it for anything.
Life brings you exactly where you are meant to go.
Yes.
And right now you are coaching high school at Fenwick and continue to coach kids, and you get to work with your husband together, which is amazing.
Yes.
Can you tell us about how the My Journey Hoops and how that kind of came about with the two of you guys?
So I got to Fenwick. This is like my 4th year now. I took over for Coach Power, who is the one and only coach that's been at Fenwick since they went co-ed.
How long have they been co-ed now? If you don't mind me.
I don't know exactly. It's been a couple years. It's been a while.
Sonia, look it up.
Yeah. They've been co-ed for a while. And so my Coach Power's last year, I was his assistant. And then he retired, and I took over the following year. And I was actually able to bring David on with me. So we coached together that first year. And we got all the way to the super sectional game, which is a game of 4 states. So it was pretty big. And then the next year, he got the opportunity to go on the men's side, the boys' side. So then he is on the boys' side now at Fenwick. So he's the boys' coach. I'm the girls' coach. So it's kind of cool, a little family affair, coaching there. But, you know, and my journey was originally his program. It was just a boys' program. And then once I got to Fenwick, I knew that there was nothing really in the area. So I, you know, was like, hey, I'm going to keep it my journey. I'm going to open up for girls in the area. So this will be our 5th year this year. And I just like the name because everyone's journey is different. You know, everyone has their own path. And so that program is for, you know, I don't have like the top girls. I have girls that need to be developed. They're like projects like me. And I'm okay with that, you know, because for me, the pleasure of getting a girl walking into my program and playing 2-3 years and to see how they're a totally different player and actually understand the game and develop skills, that brings a satisfaction to me. And so, you know, that's what my journey is about. Coming in, whatever talent, you know, whatever level you have, but just growing and understanding the game and just the fundamentals is kind of what we key in on. And we just play in local tournaments and the girls have fun. You know, for me, the games are what they care about. For me, it's the practice of learning those skills and developing those skills. Because I think a lot of times we get lost in just our athleticism and just going up and down, and we're missing out on the skill development, which is really key, I think.
That's really cool that you're giving back in that way and giving, you know, the gift of basketball that it was given to you to the youth.
Yes.
92 is when Fenwick became co-ed, according to Sonia.
92, yes. So
okay.
it's, yeah.
So it's been a while.
It has been a while, so I love it all.
So you have been a player and a coach for a long time. Is there one that you prefer, you see more of yourself kind of gravitating towards?
Well, I still play.
Yeah.
Because
I bet you're whipping their butt out there in practice. Let's be real.
I still play. We sometimes have runs at Fenwick before school. We usually play on Sundays. We have like a crew of old alumni. We come in and play. I try to hop in and practice here and there just so I think it brings another element when the girls see that, oh, coach does know what she's talking about because she can do what she's asking us to do. So I have to jump in time to time, talk a little mess to them, roughing them up. But I mean, I still love to play. You know, my husband would kill him, but if right now, if a team in Europe or something call it, hey, we need a shooter, I'd be like, I'm ready.
You're like, I'm going in.
I'm ready. You
watch the kids, get a nanny.
You know, I had to put the ball down to start my family, and I'm grateful that I did. But I'm always gonna, you know, think I'm a player, and I still love to play. I'm still blessed to go out there and still get up and down. I retired at a time where I still have my knees. You know, I could still walk, I could still play. Yep. So when I have the opportunity to go play, I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I enjoy coaching too. You know, it's kind of like still being attached to the game, but in a different light. And then for me, just seeing the development of girls and them achieving things, and then maybe going off to college and play, because I was in those shoes at one point.
It still scratches that itch. For
yes.
Sure.
Yeah. What do you miss the most about being a college athlete?
If I have to be honest, just the freedom of just playing and going to school and not much responsibility after that. You know, once you get out of college and you got a real job and your family starts, it's real. You know, in college, and I thought that was real, but I'm like, I'm just playing basketball. I'm getting an education. Like, I just think that, and just traveling and playing games and playing in front of different arenas and different crowds. I just think, you know, that was really special. I'll always remember it, but I miss it as well.
What would your advice be to a student coming into college hoping to have a similar career as you, or even just to play basketball and exceed in athletics?
I'm a firm believer in just, you know, if you work hard and you have that determination and you have that will and that drive, anything can happen. You know, as I sit here today, if you saw me as a freshman, if you saw me as an 8th grader, you probably wouldn't believe, you know, one day I would be a Hall of Famer, even to score 2,000 points. I don't think I realized what that meant either until years later. I'm like, okay, 1,000 points. And then they're like, do you know that's a big deal? Like, most people are just trying to get to 1,000. And it's like, you got there and, you know, you got 2,000. And so I was like, wow, I guess that really was a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know the significance of it at the time. But when I look back, just that drive, that determination, and when your mind is set on something, stuff's gonna get thrown your way. You're gonna have setbacks, you're gonna have adversity, but it's like focus on what you can adjust, what you can focus on, and let the other stuff that you can't, don't let it get to you. And so, you know, just keep that determination and that will and that drive, and anything is possible. Doors will open up.
It's good to see you kind of remember where you came from and pat yourself on the back a little bit too.
Yes,
'cause that's an amazing career. My question to end it is, you said you would go back to play if a team called. What if the Lovables were like, we need you out there, Lenae. 5, 6, 7, 8.
I don't know about that. I think I've shifted away from that. That was like high school. I like watching, but I'm
Sure.
like, I would still pick playing.
You could come on as a guest,
Yeah.
guest performer, like out of a box. Lenae, it was great to have you on the Blue Demon
thank you
Room.
so
And
much.
congratulations again.
Thank you.